slain.
Hey, Hebrew, we're going to be linking the month Tammuz with 4th of July, Caligula, Nero, Maccabi, Simon ben Kosiba or Shimeon ben Koshiba, and Augustus, meaning Most High. Octavius Augustus, Caesar Augustus. There's a lot of Augustus. 4th of July has very much to do with the Hebrew month Tammuz in correlation. The word Tammuz in Hebrew means to set on heat, to stir up the evil within someone's soul. And this same word, Tammuz, also means the main month of the summer, where the heat of the sun draws the attention of humanity to itself. In this same month, Tammuz, on the 17th of Tammuz, Moses comes down from the mountain with the commandments of Almighty Power Yahweh for Yashara'el, and he finds Israel worshiping the golden calf. This will be committing adultery, eating meat sacrifices to demons, all under the sun. In this month, also, the Romans came against Jerusalem, burnt the Torah with fire, and also placed an idol in the holy temple. In this month, also, the walls of Jerusalem was breached. 5 calamities that affected the Yahudi people. These are: 1. Moses broke the tablets of stone, and 2. An idol known as the golden calf was erected in 1313 BCE. 3. The daily sacrificial offerings were discontinued in 423 BC. 4. Jerusalem's walls were breached in 69 BC. And 5. The Roman military leader Apostomus burned a Torah scroll possibly around 50 CE, just before the Bar Kokhba revolt. This may have contributed to the Bar Kokhba revolt, the last war between the Romans and the Yehudi, the Jews, between 132 and 135 CE AD.
Throughout history, there have been hundreds of ferocious rulers with insane tendencies. The grisliest of them all has to be the infamous Roman Emperor Caligula. He ruled the Romance Empire for only 4 years, yet he is still remembered to this day. However, his legacy is nothing to be praised. First, Caligula was sexually curious and very promiscuous. As a young boy, he began having sex with his 3 sisters and prostituting them to other men. He eventually impregnated his favorite sister and disemboweled her, cutting her open and removing their unborn child from her body. After her death, he pronounced her to be a goddess. When he became a ruler, he blew a lot of the empire's finances on bisexual orgies and parties. He turned one palace into a brothel, where he forcefully hired wives and daughters of senators. All of this ended up essentially bankrupting the empire. Besides being completely nuts, he was also very brutal and apathetic. He enjoyed watching people fight lions, but sometimes there weren't enough criminals to be put in the arenas, so he commanded random spectators to be dragged into the arena to fight the lions as well. Since he was wasting a lot of money, he imposed high taxes on the wealthy, but that was sometimes not enough. He often forced rich people to cede him their wealth, and then he would murder them to cover it up. He wasn't taking it easy on the lower class either. He wrote new laws on boards in tiny handwriting so people couldn't even read them, and then he would punish them for breaking the laws they didn't even know about. This made him really hated, but he didn't mind it as long as the people feared him as well. The pinnacle of his insanity was probably the time when he promised to make his horse a consul of Rome and even appointed him a priest. During the 4 years of his ruling, Rome wasn't doing that bad, in the sense that there weren't any public disasters, but Caligula kept complaining about how bad the times were. Most emperors would appreciate this, but not him. He kept praying for a catastrophe to happen, and nobody really knows why. It's possible that because he was such a narcissist, he just wanted a catastrophe to happen so he could take care of it. He was so narcissistic that he believed he was equal to gods and should therefore be worshipped as one. These comparisons started when one astrologist predicted that chances of Caligula becoming an emperor were lower than the chances of someone riding a horse across the Gulf of Baiae. When he became the emperor, he built a 3-mile-long bridge across the Gulf, rode his horse across it, and started comparing himself to the god Neptune. He even preferred to be addressed as Jupiter, which is the name of the leader of the Roman gods equivalent to the Zeus of Greek mythology. He commanded his people to sacrifice animals to honor him. He erected statues portraying himself in temples all across the empire. He eventually decided to leave Rome and move to Egypt, where people could praise him as a living god. This was the last straw for the fed-up Senate, because this meant that he could rule Rome from a long distance and nobody could do anything to him. So they decided to assassinate him before he left. This assassination was successful, and Caligula died at the age of 28. But don't worry, it doesn't end there. A movie was made about his life, and it's usually acknowledged by fans as being one of the most disturbing movies of all time. If you think you can handle it, go check it out. You can find the link to the movie in the description below.
the pressure of Roman taxation, if not absolutely heavier than Persian, Babylonian, Assyrian, and Egyptian taxation, which is genocide, was probably more galling as being more thorough and systematic. Tribute, taxes, census, more distinctively a mark of bondage. The capture of Jerusalem by Pompey was followed immediately by the imposition of a tribute, and within a short time the sum thus taken from the resources of Judea, of the country, amounted to 10,000 talents. Now 1 talent is $350,000. When Judea became formally a Roman province, the whole financial system of the empire came as a natural consequence. Now, the taxes were systematically farmed, and the publicans appeared as a new curse to the country. The portoria, customs, were levied at harbors, piers, and the gates of cities. Matthew chapter 17, Romans chapter 13. In addition to this, there was the poll tax paid by every Yehudi, and looked upon for that reason as a special badge of servitude. United with this as part of the same system, there was also, in all probability, a property tax of some kind. In addition to these general taxes, the inhabitants of Jerusalem were subject to a special house duty about this period. They did not like you if you was an African American in Rome.